So yeah, the anger that I had was certainly like channeled through comedy and channeled through, like, I played punk rock for a little bit too.
Nice.
Like played just listening to metal in my room and like just being an angry kid with having this extra little anger of like racism on top of it. But then growing up was able to channel like I do today, a lot of that anger and that frustration into comedy and satire, and trying to make humor the social lubricant for explaining this argument, because explaining this is not as easy as it is to like a racist. I can't have this conversation with a racist,
right?
Because I feel like they already have so many biases, and I already have so many biases. We will not be able to communicate with each other.
Right.
Whereas I can introduce some of those ideas through comedy because there's laughter involved, and it's
is there almost a part of it for you where, because like the way you just talked about the way you just said it is like, if I'm talking to a racist, I can't explain it to them. But like, if you're going to try to have this conversation, you don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But if you put it up on a stage, it doesn't matter who you're talking to, because it's not a conversation.
Yeah. you get to tell all those ideas to a huge group of people that don't really have any say in it. I mean, sometimes in improv, people will beak you off or whatever, but they have clever ways to sort of just tell them to fuck themselves.
It's interesting that you went improv too, of all the different ways that you go at it. But was your dad an improv guy? Or
my dad's a stand-up comedian.
He's a stand-up.
Yeah. And when I was young, I think most kids are like, I'm going to do what my dad does when they grow up. And I've tried stand-up in my adult life, and I can't do it. Like, it's really difficult.
It's a tough gig.
And the difference between improv and stand-up comedy is, like, stand-up comedy, I find you're one guy who is against the audience, and like the audience, when for whatever reason, when they see stand-ups, a lot of them are just like, all right, I'm gonna be way better than this guy because I'm funny too, which is so tough for one person. And like power to all the comics that can stand there and just do their thing and be able to just counter that energy, which is really difficult. Whereas improv is like, we're all making this thing together, and it's not just one of me. So at any point, I have like another scene partner that we're both in this together. So it's not us against the audience. Right. It's us are all making comedy together. And I found that as just like a really positive way of making jokes.
Yeah, it's way different because you have other people you can lean on, and like when you are having them, because like it's improv, so everybody's going to burn tonight. And even if you get the biggest laugh, at some point somebody's going to look at you like, what the fuck are you doing?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's you're supporting each other. You're saying yes. Like as I started doing improv, I realized like in improv, saying no is like a block. It's really hard to continue a story if somebody says no. But in reality, like when you're like, hey, can you get the door for me? And someone's like, no. And it's like a joke. I'm so baffled. I'm like, that's not funny. But I know why you think it's funny, because it's shocking. Right. And it's like, oh, like I did this shocking thing. But it's just like, it's really hard for me to separate that from like the improv training. Just like, that's not funny. Get the door for me. Like,
that's hilarious. That's funny. Because I do like I studied improv and stuff a little bit, and so like I do understand that, but I was never an improv guy, right? Yeah. So I never took it to heart that way. Right, yeah. But I could definitely see if like you've taken this is how comedy is.
I mean, like I was doing improv classes and stuff when most of my friends were doing university and that sort of thing. And I was failing in high school, but I was really excelling in improv and drama and that sort of thing. So that was my education.
Don't forget, you can subscribe to our full audio episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your audio podcasts. The full episodes, highlights, and our live off-the-floor performance videos can be found at our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the AVB Podcast. Of course, you'll find links to our incredible sponsors and this week's guest in the description below. The AVB Podcast is part of the Border City Network. Find more great content at bordercitynetwork.com. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.